Hello world of the internet, my name is Simon Mellor and I haven't done one of these in a while, but finally I'm getting back to doing some album reactions. For context, you can head over to another channel that I do with my man John Denton known as Rock Reacts. That will explain why we get to album reactions a little bit later than some people may expect. I see it all the time. Why are you reacting to this now? What happened? Blah, blah, blah. It's just life. It's all explained over there. And if nothing else, I enjoy doing it. Over the last year or so, I've been opened up to this world of hip-hop and other music that I've never heard before in my life. And it's been cool. I've always been a metalhead, always been a metal fan, but I'm an open-minded guy. I love music, and the whole thing has just been wonderful. So, you can go back and watch it now. We did come over When You're Sober Part 1 by Lil Peep a couple of months ago. It was an interesting thing for me, especially given to what happened to the guy. Obviously, tragically passed away last year or maybe the year before. I can't remember now. And yeah, it's one of those things where I wanted to leave it a little bit. Just because I did. I don't know why I didn't want to jump on the bandwagon or for it to seem that way, but I absolutely wanted to get to it and listen to it, because again, I went through the first album and I was really intrigued by the guy. There was an indie rock vibe, yeah, there was some Blink 182 influences, as well as the quote-unquote SoundCloud rappers that sort of have been famous for the last few years. And yes, when I heard that they're going to bring out another one, it says right here actually, 2017, he passed away. And when they said that they were going to bring Come Over When You're Sober Part 2, I wanted to hear it. And I was like, well, if I'm going to hear it, I may as well hear it on, online with you guys. People like this stuff. So enough talking from me. Let's get into it. First track, Broken Smile, in brackets, My All, which already is, you know. It's terrifying.
I gotta go right now, that's all.
I've said this before, I'll say it again. If you ever make a song and it starts with a piano and you throw a minor chord in there, you'll likely win me over. I just think that sounds ridiculous, right? But there is always a beauty in that. Straight away, this has got me. Again, the whole posthumous, I can't know the right word, but influence of it is always going to give it a bit more of a haunting tone, of course. But even without there, the atmosphere, the aura that it creates already, we're only 58 seconds in. It's like basically a 4-minute song just over. I wasn't listening to what he was singing, actually, which is really bad, but I was taken in by, again, the ambience that he created. I'll listen to what he's singing. That's probably the point, right?
Nothing true, don't expect no call. Y'all been plotting on me, praying
It's like a film score. Oh man, this is brilliant.
broken smile.
That sounds like Imagine Dragons. That's not a diss, in case it sounds that way. I don't know much Imagine Dragons, but that kind of big explosive sound I know is like them. Don't know whether it was inspired by them or anything. What a change that was, though. I mean, that was basically 2 minutes of kind of, like chilling piano with him, very softly singing over the top, and then boom, explodes into life with this. I mean, this is, I don't know if other people have gone in and tweaked it, or it's what he intended it to be and obviously never made it, but genuinely really good. It's a love song, basically, for what I'm picking up from it. I mean, it may not be specifically about another person. Obviously, sometimes you get songs that are romantic, but aren't actually about sort of, human-to-human relationships. But, it's one of the things that Lil Peep's always done well, and I've said this on everything I've ever done that I've talked about online, is that he doesn't necessarily come up with very poetic lines, but what he says is so sort of down the line that if you're experiencing something similar, I would imagine that it hits a chord with you. Like stuff like that, you're the only one that was worth my time, and basically going to try and get you back. It's not flowery language, but if you're going through that kind of thing, I can imagine that it speaks to you a lot. And I think that's why Lil Peep has the following that he does and that he did, because, again, he just throws it out there. Goes, that's how I feel. Not going to hold back. Again, clearly a troubled guy given everything that happened. And I think he gets that out in his music, which is probably why he was so talented to begin with.
She was the one with the broken smile.
The fact he throws guitar solos in there, I think, kind of sums it up too. It's not something you necessarily hear with this genre. I say in this genre because he kind of almost, I wouldn't say he sits in a genre of his own, but I would call him straight hip hop or anything like that. I don't even know what I would call him. But yeah, guitar solo in this kind of music, which is a terrible term, it is rare. But I like it. It's good. That's really, really good. That's not what I was expecting at all. I mean, obviously it had the Lil Peep trademarks, especially I don't like walling or wailing sounds a bit much, but he does. It gets that emotional tone out there. Great. Really, really good. The first 2 minutes especially, I really liked. I felt like the last 2 minutes were what I would have expected. Still good, but the first 2 minutes really caught me off guard. Absolutely fantastic to the point I kind of want to listen to them again, but I won't. We'll go to the next one, which is Runaway. This is one we did on Rock Reacts. I forgot about it because we did do a couple. This one gets me every time as well, just because. And please do go check that video out as well. But this one, I mean, straight away, right? The way that he, again, is just so open about how fake people are and how he struggles with that and how really people should be nice to each other. And again, how I'm sure he had plenty of fame, plenty of money. That's going to bring its own problems along with well. To just throw that out there when you're in this kind of position, I think is a bigger message than sort of the alternative to that. I don't know why, but it just, I guess because people judge books by their covers, right? And if you looked at Lil Peep, you read about him, you wouldn't think he would be so open. I'm going to say a lot, but it's true. It's his open and honesty. That's when you can see why he gathered the fan base that he did, because it's important, and it's even more important in 2019 when stuff like mental health and struggles and depression are being spoken about more than they were in the past. But you still need iconic figures to do it, and I feel like he did that all the time. So yeah, again, we'll listen to it and react to it, of course. But if you just want to focus on that song, you can go check that out. I was dying and nobody was there. Please don't cry. I ran away. And stuff that I run away from my problems. I do my chores when I want them. Like again, I'm gonna repeat myself, but sometimes you have to. That is not. You wouldn't write that down and read it and go, "Oh, it's so beautiful." But the way he does it. It's just so honest. He runs away from his problems. And I guess there's a bit of immaturity there. I do my chores when I want them. You don't tell me what to do. You know, there's a bit of rebelness there as well, which is a really interesting dynamic and sort of juxtaposition, stupid word, between someone that's happy to admit that they run away from their problems, but also, again, is being a little bit immature too. Interesting cat was Lil Peep. Really, really was. I find him quite fascinating. It's really good. It's just, again, it's kind of terrifying. And I don't know, man. I don't know. He's interesting. He's the kind of guy that I listen to and I want to go read more about. Again, that is probably going to tie into the fact that he had a tragic end because you want to know more, right? What happened to him? What was he thinking at the time? Obviously, what I have read, it certainly sounded like it was an accident and he didn't mean to do it. It makes it even more harrowing. I mean, it's harrowing either way if someone feels like they have to take their life. But yeah, I think, I don't know if we're getting, let's see if we got any information about this. I don't know if we're getting any more, stuff from him. But even if not, I think the sort of the library of work that he has left certainly deserves, being jumped into by most people and have a listen, which is another reason why I'm doing this today. Move on. Sex with My Ex. Oh, I mean, that is just a classic rock, indie rock riff, pattern structure. Big focus on death. I don't know whether it's something that, kind of played on his mind a lot. You would imagine it would be if he was struggling. That's usually something, obviously if people get to that stage and they think about taking their life, they're thinking about death a lot. But I think every song so far, he's mentioned it, which is kind of a bit scary in itself, right? Or at least creates a certain vibe. That guitar almost sounds like Sweet Home Alabama, that bow, bow, bow. I don't know whether it's meant to, but I've picked up on it. Again, completely different songs entirely. But I like the fact that link is there. Again, intentional or not, it makes me happy that the link is there. Oh, I love that. Bow, bow. So simple, that guitar, but it works. Interesting. I'm here to grant your one last wish. That's an interesting line when it comes to sex. I just think Lil Peep he's really unique. Like he kind of, I was talking about earlier about not knowing what genre he gets in, probably because he just pushes genres together. Like that guitar and that could have been from any, again, it had Sweet Home Alabama vibes, other indie rock vibes, it had a traditional chord structure. By the end they had a really simple solo, just two notes going over and over again, but sometimes you don't need to do too much. I'm going to be talking too fast. But sometimes you don't need to do too much. Just do the basics. This is why I wanted to do it. I know I'm going to get some comments going, oh, you're trying to do whatever. I don't care, man. I like Lil Peep. I'm not a super fan, of course I'm not, hence why I've waited 2 months to listen to it. But when I do hear it, he absolutely wins me over, and I get it. That's the cool thing about it. I get it. I get it. All right, let's do Cry Alone. I think we did this on Rock Reacts as well. We did, and I love it because that's a punk start. A guitar is so good. This is catchy, this one as well, which is crazy, right? Lil Peep coming up with catchy music. It's got that build too. It's got the build. I mean, obviously, I still think the first 2 minutes of that first track is the best thing I've ever heard by Lil Peep. But as this whole song, again, I've heard this one before. This is the song for me. It's catchy. It's got a good beat. Lyrically, I can't really remember, but it's called Cry Alone, so it doesn't take a genius. You could release this on the radio tomorrow. Not that I don't think that was his thing, but you could, and I think it would get a massive audience. I don't know. Maybe I don't know over here in the UK. It may have done. I'm not good with that stuff, but it may have done that. But it absolutely should. Such a good song. It's in my head already. I recognize it straight away, and I was like, "Oh, I remember it." I really like it. So good. So good. Who knew, man? Who knew? Well, obviously you did if you're watching this, but yeah, brilliant. Wow. Honestly, in that, we didn't mention it before, like, the whole, kids in my school, rich kids laugh at me right now. Clearly grew up and got bullied, I would guess. And I get that. I mean, I get into it. I've been bullied, man, and it sucks. It's the one, I mean, you don't need me to tell you that, but the fact that he was able to take those feelings and, again, transpose it into music, I'll tell you, man, I like Lil Peep. Let's just keep it going. Let's do Leaning. See, again, straight away, that's not like the last song. Nor should it be. But that's creepy and weird. His use of guitar is excellent. I mean, what? How did he come up with that? What does that sound like? If you're going to get a paper right now and write down who he sounds like, I'm sure there's artists out there. I'm sure he was hugely inspired by some people I don't hear of. But in terms of my sphere of influence, it sounds like a film score in the sense that it's really big and it's really massive. Obviously, his lyrics, again, are just difficult to listen to if you take them, so again, if you just wrote them down. It's clear, again, I'm going to say it a lot, but it's clearly a guy that's struggling. And everything else is atmosphere. The atmosphere he creates in every single song, even though he's a big fan of doing copy, repeat, it works. Because the atmosphere gets inside you and it hits that weird thing that music does. And you're like, it's chilling and it's haunting and all those words you want to use, but man, does he make it work. And I probably sound like I'm overdoing it a bit, but again, I'm not used to stuff like this. And if you had told me before, this is what you're going to think, I'm like, nah, no way will I like it. But I do. I really, really do. To the point I'll smash this on my playlist. I'll keep listening to it. I don't know, like, when it'd be the right mood to listen to something like this. Probably when you're quite big introspective and maybe melancholic. That is a huge part of this. And introspective too. They are almost, I said this with X when we did stuff before. It is like letters that he's writing. And that's why they repeat, or like so you're just scrawling the same thing down over and over again. But that is why it's so impactful. I really like Lil Peep. You probably figured out. Breakdown. 2 thumbs. Yep. I'm going to point out as well, I just hit the camera. Sometimes people in the comments go, oh, why is your head bopping out time of the music? Because there's a delay between the sound and the camera recording it. That's why. Don't need to know that. Yeah, I mean, just more of the same, really. Probably not my favourite one I've heard so far, but again, when it got going and got those sort of... Again, it swells, Lil Peep's music. He starts off, he builds, and it just swells and it explodes. And I think in that initial moment, it's always fascinating. Let's just keep it going. 16 lines. I love that he loves guitar as well. My bones act as my spine. I'm going to presume that 16 lines means cocaine, right? I mean, I didn't pick up on that at first. I thought maybe it was going to be some kind of thing he was going to be writing. But I could be wrong. Just my initial, the way he said that line as well, I would presume it means cocaine. My own sensation, 16 lines of blowing up fine. He may have said blow earlier, which obviously gives it away. I mean, again, it's just the... I've been alone since I was... What a thing to rhyme. 16 lines of blow, I'll be fine. I've been alone since the age of 9. I mean, if that is... Again, because he died of a drug overdose as well, right? So again, this is going to have more meaning to it given what happened. But, we take it as read, which I would believe everything that Lil Peep sings about is true. So he's been alone... I don't know when he died, but I imagine his early 20s. So say a decade, or if not more, of feeling that way, turning to drugs. Obviously, there's a lot of... him reaching out to people to try and get relationships too, and to take all those emotions and tie it up in music has been, I mean, I guess it was therapeutic to him to a point, but obviously not enough, and I think that comes across when you're listening to it too. It makes a little bit yeah, harder to listen to, I would imagine, because it is a guy pouring his heart out, which takes courage. That's a whole other thing we can talk about when it comes to mental health. If you watch my channel, you know, I do vlogs about that too, because I think mental health is really important. But, you know, everyone says that if you cry or whatever, you're not strong, where really the strong people are the ones that can talk about it and open up their feelings, because they have that much strength within themselves. And he's kind of a dichotomy in that sense, because he did have the strength to do it, but still had to rely on other substances to try and get through, which ultimately, you know, unraveled him, which makes him a very, 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 very deep and fascinating human being. That kick drum. Oh man, the ending of his songs. That is an ending. Leaves you on that hanging note, that bit of kind of tension almost. Again, weird use of... I'm going to start this, we're not going to start it. That weird... I love his use of piano. I love his use of guitar. I don't know who produces this stuff. Does it say? I got some notes on it. I'm listening on Apple Music. Produced by Smoker Sack, probably said wrong, along with Peep's family. Calls it a testament to the rapper's originality and burgeoning greatness. I think that's fair. I really, really think that's fair. I think he had something. Let's just do Life is Beautiful. Let's just keep smashing it, because...
It hurts sometimes, but it's beautiful. Working every day, now you're bleeding through your cuticles.
I've heard this.
I think that life is beautiful. Trying to keep...
I don't know where I've heard this. I don't think we did it on Rock Reacts, but we must have done. Yeah, just letting you know, so you know the truth. I mean, there he just talks about someone that's got a brain tumor, or, you know, some kind of disease that's going to kill them, and then to mix that with "Isn't Life Beautiful?" I would imagine there's a certain tongue-in-cheek nature to that, like a certain "Life's beautiful, isn't it?" But again, who sings about stuff like this? I'm sure that again there are other people who go, "Oh, I get it." But right now I'm listening to Lil Peep, and I can't think of anybody, and I just think I think his words, again, match the sound that he's created. And all of that together makes it even more powerful than it would be otherwise. And that's what music is. How does all these elements come together to make it work? I don't know what it's like in the UK, because I'm not the person to talk about. I'm not up on that scene enough. But I'd have to imagine that he's not as big as he should be. But please tell me wrong. If you're watching from the UK, drop me a comment below. Let me know if I'm wrong. Let me know what his kind of following over here was. I don't know if he toured here. I know nothing. I'm an imbecile. You got to let me know. I mean, I think I'm going to die alone inside my room, which is what happened. It's like he had a death wish, but not. Comeback.
It's beautiful.
Just crazy, man. Just crazy. I mean, his next song's called Hate Me, then Idgaff, which I imagine is I Don't Give a Fuck, then White Girl and Fingers. Poof. I mean, again, he's hard to listen to in the sense that he wears you out, because he just sings about grandiose things. And he sings about emotions, and he sings about feelings, and if you buy into that and you're listening, it's like, oh, that's an assault on the senses. But in a good way, that's what he intended to do, and music should never just be, well, it should be able to do everything. It should be able to make you happy, it should be able to make you sad, angry. That's why I love metal so much. It gets you pumped. This is, again, introspective, emotional stuff, and therefore you should feel a bit drained, and I do. Right, Hate Me, which has got to be an he talked about being on the road and talking about doesn't want to break her, and then thinks that she hates him, but also that he'd give it all up for her. Was there one person in Lil Peep's life? You got to tell me. I'll look it up afterwards, but not now. But was there one person in his life that kind of influenced all of this? Did he have an on-off relationship? Did he struggle with this person? Was she a bad? I don't know. You got to tell me. But that's what I get. Or maybe it's the other case that he went from bad person to bad person, and that wore him out, which happens, right? You got a string of bad relationships. You start to think, well, I'm the common denominator here. Is it me? Especially if he was already quite vulnerable to begin with, which I imagine he was. But maybe that's what it's about. Maybe he would give up all his fame and his money and his singing career, or whatever you want to call it, musicianship, to be in a relationship that's healthy and happy. Because clearly that's something that he's lacking as well. We mentioned in the other song he's been alone since he was 9. Don't know what the relationship was like with his parents, obviously, because his parents helped do this, I think, or his family did. I don't know. There's so many questions, and that makes it even more interesting. That's everything I've said already.
Let you down. I don't wanna let you down. No, I just wanna leave this town.
Clearly put a hell of a lot of pressure on himself, both probably within his work and his relationships. Again, doesn't want to let people down. He's oof.
Girl, I know
that fucking orchestra stuff. It's just fascinating. I keep saying the same thing over and over and girl. I know that you say that you hate me, but I know what you don't. Because that's confidence, right? Or maybe it's him being deluded at the same time. Because the rest of the song is, I think nobody likes me and I want to let people down. And, I really want to help everybody, but I can't. And I feel like I'm a failure. And then at the end, you think, it's just, there's so much. I'm going to do so much reading about this. Let's keep it going. I don't give a fuck. Id gaff. 2 thumbs. Oh my, that sounds like Nirvana, but Soundgarden. Black Hole Sun. It's great. This is his most mature song yet, or at least his most well-produced, most well-rounded song. This sounds like all his little elements have come together. That 2-minute piano thing, track 1, is still the best, but this sounds like a complete thing. I wasn't listening to the lyrics, I got carried away with everything else, but yeah, as a build and as an everything just came together. Everything. That was great. About anything. That build. There's so much going on. Again, it's more introspective, just sadness. But as a whole song, this is really flipping good. There's stuff going on under the scenes of that bow, 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 bow. That was awful. But, there's the ambience is creating harmonies. He sounds really good. Ooh, this is up there. This is up there for me. This is fantastic. That's what I say, fantastic, but it is. Oh, that bass. That guitar as well. I mean, it does sound like a Black Hole song, but I don't care. This guy gets better and better. I'll pause it a little bit just because I got to, because of copyright stuff, but there's nothing else I can say about that. It was just a really great song, right into it. White. I love her, but I love how she feels, or how she makes me feel. Hang on. So many different themes you always get. You always get the girl, you always get some reference to drugs, here, cocaine, you always get reference to his bones. I don't know what that means. It may be a drug thing I don't know about. If I had to, I've only got one more song to go, so I had to put my, what I believe. I believe that it, some girl did come in and kind of not screw up his brain, but obviously give him some trouble. But I don't know, and I don't know whether this song is about that or not. I don't love her, but I love how I feel. So maybe when he's with her, it makes him feel better, but he doesn't actually. No, I don't know. We'll do fingers. Oh, it's got a happy sound to it. Everyone hates me, but nobody knows me. Where did it sound? Lyrically very similar. Love that guitar. Again, Blink 182-y. Sounds like an indie rock song. Great atmosphere, great vibe. Really well put together song. Sounds very poppy in a good way. Don't know why it's called Fingers, but I imagine we'll get there in a minute. Oh man, it went minor. Sounds like the Killers. That's not disrespectful. Well, you may think it, I don't know. Oh man, the orchestra. I mean, if that isn't a fitting end to an album of a man that went through what he went through, with that kind of music, and then I'm not going to last long. Lil Peep, man. Lil Peep is maybe better. Maybe he was going to be better than we realised, but we never got to find out. All right, that's Come Over When You're Sober Part 2. I really like Lil Peep. Just do. Think he's great. I think he's an absolutely unique artist to himself. Again, don't think we ever saw what he could have been, because that's life and that's what happens. Sucks, obviously. It's absolutely tragic. But I like him. I'm going to listen to that album a lot. There's a lot in that to jump in and take apart. And if I come up with anything else, I'll do a little vlog or something on here to let you know what I found. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment below. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Just said that. I'm saying it again. All of this is supported by my Patreon if you care. Patreon.com/Simon316. Check out Rock Reacts. Check out everything else. Yeah, I'm going to lay down for a bit. That's quite heavy, but it was quite cool. Thanks very much. I'll see you soon.